G'day folks, it's DIY Guy 123 here, bringing you another do-it-yourself video. Today I'm going to tell you about my love-hate relationship with hose reels. They're great when they don't leak. But when they leak, they are a pain because you're forever losing air. Your air compressor's cutting in when you don't want it to. It's just really, really annoying. So I just want to point out how they're designed. Of course, this hose right here that feeds it doesn't turn. And there's obviously a bracket that's mounted to the wall that doesn't turn, but this part does turn. So how does that happen? Well, the whole thing rides on a shaft, and this part right here is obviously connected to the reel and spins. So this part all spins, but the rest of it doesn't spin. This part and this shaft are one and they don't spin. Once I get it apart and this part is out of there, I'll see two O-rings on either side here, and I'm gonna replace those with just O-rings from an O-ring kit I have. I didn't buy them from the manufacturer of this thing. And I've done this in the past. It works brand new when this came from the store. It didn't leak for about a year. I used it once a week. On the weekends, I pull it out, and then the end of the weekend, I put it back in. So it didn't leak for a year, and then it started to leak more and more and more after that year until about year 4, and I couldn't take it any longer. So I went through this procedure and changed the O-rings. And then 4 years went by, and I had to change them again. The O-rings only keep the air in under regular use for about a year. And so anyway, I'm gonna do it again. So here we go. Release all the spring tension in the whole thing. So you do that by loosening this nut right here. Hold this end and loosen the nut on the other side. And it also helps to take the hose off too. So if you can unscrew the hose, that's fine. Or in my case, I've got a hose clamp right here. I'll undo and I'll get it to come off that way. And when you release the spring tension, you'll hear the inside mechanism unwind, and you'll actually see this shaft right here unwind. So once that's done, the next thing to do is to pull that nut off, and then this whole shaft will slide out. Now when that happens, you got to make sure that you put in a piece of threaded rod or something in this way, because if you don't, all of this whole mechanism is going to fall off. So I'm going to take some time to find some kind of piece of rod or something that can go through there so that I don't have to take this bracketry all off the wall and everything. So we'll see how that goes. Disconnect the hose there. Now I had a male barb that I could just pull the hose off. If you don't have that, you're gonna have to unscrew your hose. Okay, so I've thought about this for a while, and even though I've done this job 2 times before, I couldn't remember how I did it this time. Can you believe it? I guess that's what getting old's all about. After fiddling around, and I actually took this reel off by releasing that nut. Don't do it. You don't need to do that. So look, what you need to do is remove the hose here and take a wrench and put it on this bolt right here. And it didn't want to come loose, so I put it on there like that, and then I gave it a quick whack down, and it freed up. What you don't want is to turn this and loosen that nut off, because then the whole thing will fall off. So once you loosen this, just even if you break it free, it'll come out by hand. And now there's a snap ring right there that I have to take off. So I'm gonna get snap ring pliers and pull that off. Okay, so these are the snap ring pliers I used. I had a larger set, but the little knobs are too big to fit in there. And this snap ring was installed right in that groove right there. So basically just expand it ever so slightly, not more than you need, and take it off. And now you're left with this rig right here. And these are the O-rings that wore out. So I'll be finding replacements for my O-ring kit. I have both metric and imperial, and I'll see which is the best fit. I'll be back at you. Okay, so here we are. I've got the old O-rings off, and the areas where the O-rings are installed, I've cleaned those well. And when you're selecting your new O-rings, you know, it's often easiest to take the old one and compared to various sizes. On the left you've got standard or imperial, on the right you've got metric. And so, you know, oftentimes it's hard to tell what the difference is. And in fact, years ago I only had this imperial kit, and I actually wrote on their air reel. That tells you how often I had done this job. I'd done it twice before and identified the O-rings I used. This time, and so that one is an R08, and you know, it seemed to fit at the time, and it certainly sealed when I put it all back together. But I've since purchased a metric kit, and I see a 112 size O-ring that it seems to be about the same diameter. Well, it might in fact be a slightly larger diameter than the R08, but the cross-sectional area seems slightly thicker, and so I'm going to try these this time, 112. And so what I'm going to do is put a little grease on this before I put the O-rings on, and then put a little grease after, and then reassemble. Of course, I hate touching grease and then touching my camera. So you don't need a lot here. I've put on 10 times as much as is necessary, because as soon as this thing spins, it's going to get all moved around. But anyway, grease is cheap, so we'll put it on, and then I'll grease the O-ring all the way around. And see if we can get this. Of course, it takes two hands. Now the first O-ring I'm expecting to drop into the first hole. And the second O-ring, after I get that well greased up, should slide over the first O-ring and proceed on to the second place where O-rings live. Be careful you don't cut the O-ring with your fingernail. They can be kind of a challenge sometimes to slide on, but just work it slow and you'll be fine. And there's that. So those are now installed and lubed on both surfaces. All right, so yeah, it's all greased and ready to go. Okay, so basically this just goes back into here. Oh, and it wouldn't hurt to inspect inside. I doubt there's anything to see. It could be some dirt in there. I think I'll run over that with the rag. Okay, good to go on that. Then this goes through here. Turn it while you're pushing it in to just be kind to those new O-rings. There, that's installed. Then the snap ring goes on the back. So snap ring is going to go right on the back of that. And basically I'm just going to use my thumbnail and push that. No, I can't do it with one hand. But anyway, you see the snap ring there? I'm going to seat that. I heard a click. I want to make sure the snap ring is seated all the way around. Then try and pull this out. You can't. All right. So I'm putting this back together now. And you give it a snug, and that's it. You're not really trying to attach it with too much force. Doesn't hurt to put a little bit of that grease that's on your fingers on this right here. Push that guy in. Tighten the hose clamp down. Sometimes people get carried away when they're tightening hose clamps. They'll tighten it so tight that they actually cut the rubber hose. Or they'll tighten it so tight that the clamp strips and won't grip as much. Really, with the barb fitting, you want to clamp it tight enough for the barbs to basically squeeze into the inside of the hose. And now we can turn the air back on. Well, I hear a leak, but it's not from the O-rings, it's from this clamp. I need to do another couple turns on this clamp. Okay, so after giving that hose clamp another turn or two, leaks are gone. This foam is from the bottle. So that's how you can, for cheap, repair an annoying air leak in your air hose reel. Really, I hate these things. They should, oh my gosh, to have something that needs maintenance every 3 or 4 years is too much. So my advice is don't buy one. Just use a piece of hose that you can coil up over an old car rim screwed to the wall or a garden hose holder. You'll never have a leak from that. These hose reels, that we think we're all fancy with them, but sometimes they're too smart for our own good when we come to designing these things, because they just don't last. Those O-rings are maintenance items, and I hate that. So good luck with your do-it-yourself projects. If you like my videos, please subscribe.